Hello people, I'm Jaby KOAY, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hello guys.
We're gonna do a different video today. We're going to look at CNBC International's video, Why is India growing so fast? CNBC explains. This was just a video that popped up on, I think it was Twitter or whatever, or YouTube, and it just, for obvious reasons, it got my attention. So let's check it out and see what they have to say and get edumacated.
Okay.
As China's economic growth slows, people are looking for the next big driver of growth, and India seems to fit the bill.
The IMF estimates that India will be the fastest growing major economy in the world this year, which is why companies like Walmart are paying top dollar for business deals in India. It's projected to expand by 7.4%, putting it ahead of China. India has a population of 1.3 billion. It's on track to grow faster, even surpassing China's population by 2024.
Wow.
And India is on track to reap a handsome demographic dividend. This effect happens when a country's working age population is larger than the non-working age population. By 2050, India is expected to have a working population of more than 1 billion.
Whoa.
While many Asian countries are aged, since Prime Minister Narendra Modi came into power in 2014, his government has attracted record foreign direct investment. Modi has been credited for his strong reform agenda to improve India's business environment.
India's growth is like my cricket game, full of promise, but it hasn't quite delivered yet.
Within the country, domestic investment has fallen as businesses have been hesitant to invest. India's exports have also dropped since Modi came into power, despite his Made in India campaign meant to fire up the country's manufacturing industry. Economists say that domestic developments are to blame. In November 2016, the government's withdrawal of 500 and 1,000 rupee notes shocked the country. 86% of the country's currency could no longer be used in shops. Then, while businesses were trying to recover from that policy, the government implemented the Goods and Services Tax in July 2017. It's the biggest tax reform since India's independence, consolidating India's many taxes into a single structure. The two policies on tax and demonetization hit consumption and investment hard, despite most economists agreeing that the goods and services tax will bring long-term benefits for India. Former IMF chief economist and India's former central bank governor, Raghuram Rajan, has said that India needs to grow much faster.
India has about 1 million people entering the labor force every month.
Wow.
So that's
Holy
a big
crap.
number that has to be absorbed, which means we need significantly more growth to get them good jobs.
But India's growth this year faces serious challenges. Top ratings agencies like Moody's and Goldman Sachs have cut their growth projections for India.
Why is that? One reason is rising oil prices. That could mean higher import costs and higher inflation.
India is the world's third biggest oil consumer, after China and the United States. Because of low oil prices, which fell to about $40 per barrel in 2016, Modi's government could put taxes on petrol and diesel.
India has become dependent on these taxes, which made up 17% of India's total revenue last year.
The Indian rupee is also the worst performing currency in Asia this year, and it's expected to weaken further.
This year, Modi was asked about the perception that he failed to create more jobs for young Indians.
His response? Official statistics do not capture the true number of people working, such as pakora sellers. His comments caused outrage in India because there is a lot of anxiety for stable salaried jobs. More than 25 million people, a number greater than Australia's population, applied for less than 90,000 jobs on India's state-run railways. For the most junior role in the Mumbai police force, 200,000 people applied for 1,137 openings.
Damn.
Many multinational companies are excited about India, dreaming about selling fast food, smartphones, and fast fashion to a rapidly growing middle class. But right now, that middle class with income levels of similar populations in cities like Hong Kong and Singapore is extremely tiny, estimated to be just about 1% of India's population. The double whammy of a weaker currency and growing oil prices are going to hit India hard.
Despite its challenges, India continues to grow quickly, but will it be fast enough to benefit its people?
Wow.
That was interesting.
That was an interesting video. I thought that they explained it in such a way that even someone like me, who's not very, up to speed on economics or
Who's not economically savvy.
not at all. I was kind of like, oh yeah, that was very well explained, you know, with like the graphics and the diagrams. It was very good for the lay person like me. Basically, I'm saying if, dumb like me, I could understand.
Just the sheer numbers of application to availability is very fascinating. Like it's scary, you know. It's like a million people. I don't know. I don't remember what the exact numbers were, but it was like 25 million
for like
applying
90,000 jobs on the railway.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and then those people have to go and look for something else. The first thing I want to do is like look at the comments to see what other Indians may have contributed in the, you know, conversation of it. And the very first one that comes up is Siddharth Samaya going, very unbiased, balanced explanation, covered almost every area. So that's reassuring. Maxwell Sokello, while there is no doubt that India is growing fast, why is there this need of comparing India to China? We'll never match the pace of China simply because China does not have a caste system, which means that China can unlock the full potential of its population while India can only rely on those who are born lucky. Literacy rate of India is below 80%, while the fellow BRICS, what's BRICS?
Don't know.
Can boast rates above that. India has the lowest PBP GDP per capita as well as the lowest HDI compared to fellow. Okay, so I remember a talk where a financial analyst said that India shouldn't try to replicate China or be the next China because China is China and India is India. These countries are completely different. I don't see anything wrong with comparing to China. It helps give you context and an understanding of where you stand in kind of, you know, the world economy. Anna, biggest enemy of Indians are not external forces like China or Pakistan, but it is lazy and corrupt bureaucracy, illiterate politicians, and spineless corrupt media. Corporate post, well exposed everyone, and lack of equality and affordable education report. Apparently they shot in Singapore. Is this woman simply standing in front of things reminiscent of India, which happened to be in Singapore? I was like, I didn't understand that, but then this comment shows up right here. Would be more authentic if you shot in India rather than Singapore. I said Singapore.
Singapore.
India is actually not doing well as it should. Ask the people who live there, and they know inequality and wealth is far too high no matter how much wealth businesses attract. Solutions get bogged down by bipartisan politics. The 20s plus states of federal India is made up of widely different ideologues and ethnicity. Massive democracies like Brazil, India, Russia find it hard to get off the ground to reach to prosperous and fair, transparent, accountable democracy. BRIC used to be... What is BRIC? BRIC is an acronym that refers to countries of Brazil, Russia, India, and China, which are all deemed to be at a similar stage of newly advanced economic development.
Okay.
We are growing at 7.2% on 2.5 trillion economy. China is growing at 6.5% on 10 trillion economy. China is far, far ahead of us. We are minus 25 years. Oh, wait, we are minimum 25 years behind China, and the gap is going to expand rather than shrink. A lot of people are saying negative things here in the comments, and I don't know if that's just the kind of people who would comment, or if that illustrates that maybe the video wasn't fully accurate about what's going on in India. Good analysis, jobs are scarce, exports, tourism, and manufacturing sectors have not grown. Unemployment is also a problem. It's not as if the video didn't mention that, though.
Yeah, it did. I think they're just,
Yeah,
saying they're supporting that.
The caste system was not mentioned in the video, and I'm wondering why they failed to mention that. Maybe they didn't feel it was important to mention in terms of it. I mean, the guy had an interesting thought that the caste system is affecting India's potential for economic growth. I don't know how that works or why that might be, but it does seem to make a bit of sense at a cursory glance.
Yeah, because I suppose, if you belong to a lower caste, you probably wouldn't have the same opportunities as someone who was born in a higher caste, even if you had the skill, the desire, the aptitude to do well.
Well, the thing about it is, you need people, I mean this in the nicest way, someone needs to take the menial jobs. Someone has to do that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, your economy can fall apart. Like, someone has to work at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Someone needs to do that, right? I suppose that you develop technology to figure out a different way to do this. Like, maybe you have an automated McDonald's or something instead of people actually working there if everyone had great jobs. But I feel like at this stage, you do need people to have those. So what I'm ultimately driving at is I can see the opposite argument where the caste system wouldn't necessarily work against India's potential to have a strong economy.
Well, I think the way in which it could work against it is if those people in the lower caste have the aptitude to do jobs that are, higher level, but they're not able to because of their caste.
I thought I was talking to somebody in one of our Skype sessions where that's not necessarily true anymore, because
they were saying that in the school system there's now
they're trying to make it even.
Yeah, yes, or even favoring.
Yeah,
people.
Well, no, because it's almost like, okay, here in the States, right? Take UCLA, right? That's a really good school. Mm-hmm. If you are Chinese and you have straight A's and you try to get into UCLA, you might not.
You have a hard time.
You have a harder time because there are so many other Chinese people who are doing exceedingly well, more than other minorities or other ethnicities, and so they're trying to, you know, make it. They're trying to be fair, and so they're going to go, okay, well, this Mexican over here whose grades are decent, not as good as any of these Chinese people, we're going to give him a seat or her a seat because we don't have enough Mexicans in the school.
Yeah.
And so likewise, you have these kids who are in a lower caste getting opportunities to go to these schools because they're from a lower caste, because the school is trying to make it fair and bring in people of all walks of life.
Yeah. Well, this is according to what we understood, obviously.
From one conversation.
From one conversation.
Yeah.
So we don't know for sure.
Good coverage of points considering the length of time. 1 point though, there was no outrage over Modi's pagoda
I
comment.
think he was talking about the Pakoras.
Oh, Pakora, okay. Although the leftist media did try to raise it real high, the common man didn't quite buy it. That's interesting. It can surpass US and China anytime near future in terms of nominal GDP because India has a far more rural population compared to any other country in this trek to leadership. And one thing is to be also imperceptive is that the rate of female working force in India, which accounts for the half of the population, is also significantly low. Yeah, there's a lot of work, but yeah, India will constantly do better in mostly every field in the future.
Yeah, you know, I think it seems like India's still like finding its feet and figuring things out, and I'm sure it will, you know?
India is a great country. It's incredibly. I don't disagree. It's funny how they shot the video in Malaysia, Singapore, and tried to pass it off as India with gratuitous use of stock footage. The point is they communicated the information they wanted to communicate. If India wants to survive, it should totally invade China and take the resources. Anyway, you guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I thought that this was an interesting video, and hopefully you guys found it interesting too, and it didn't annoy you, but it creates some good conversation in the comments. I hope that there's productive back and forth with everybody down below. Honest and verbose, and nice, and diplomatic.